Good morning, everybody. Fine to see that some of you made it out of bed shortly after midnight. Okay, this is Fun with NFC Mobile Phones. As already said, if you're expecting something else here, the Freifunk und Recht lecture was already yesterday. We switched time slots. Okay, so about the acoustics here, can you all understand me if I speak that way? Wonderful. Okay, so I start with a few words about myself. I'm from Vienna and currently living in Berlin. I earn my money with IT and web development, and I'm currently studying at the University of Arts in Berlin here. The institute is called Institute of Electronic Business. And on this institute, we recently, last year, we started playing around with NFC technology, near-field communication. And I'm going to present some of the findings we had in our research, and I try to give an overview over the technology and over the projects that are out there. And I will present one of the projects we did so far. So far, I've been involved in 3 projects in the context of NFC. And I guess it's an important technology, and it will play a major role in the future in very sensitive areas like payment and ticketing. And so it's definitely worth to have a closer look. And I would like to know from the audience, is any of you here who has an NFC device in his pocket right now? I see hands going to pockets. No? So who of you already has experience with near-field communication? Nobody. Okay, then I try to keep it simple. I'll give you an overview of what is near-field communication, what can you do with it. I'm not a very technical guy, so I can just tell you some things about the technology. I'm going into how you can use NFC devices. We will have a look at some of the devices. I also brought some, like this early one or now the modern version. And then we will have a look at some projects that are working with NFC. And I then present one of the projects I was involved in. We have a short look at the development infrastructure that is out there for near-field communication. And I would like afterwards, if there is interest from you, to go somehow into something like a workshop mode. I have one software development kit with me. We've got 3 phones, 2 of them working, and so we can try out several things. And if you are interested in getting your hands on these devices, then please stay around after the talk. I will try to keep it short so we have time enough afterwards. Okay, so what is near-field communication? It's wireless technology, connectivity, and it's based on RFID. And what makes it very special is that it only works in a very short range. We are talking 0 to 4 centimeters here. And we've got different modes of operation. I'm going into this later. But to give you a quick look, we have here something like NFC tags that are RFID tags. And if I touch one of them with my phone, I get some information out of it. So that's the basic process. What can it be used for? It's there for transactions between devices, between my mobile phone and, for example, a point of sale or another mobile phone. I can initiate the data transfer with it. So, for example, I can get a URL to a website on one of these tags, and as soon as I touch the tag, my phone connects to the internet and goes to that URL. What makes it really interesting is that it's extremely simple and easy to use. So this paradigm of touch is often used. NFC uses touching as the main process. The goal of NFC is to get RFID technology into very personal devices, like mobile phones, like the ones here, and you can also have NFC-enabled PDAs, and it's aimed at the mass market. So it's technology for consumers. It's not some niche, it's not only for logistics like other RFID implementations, it's for the consumers. NFC is heavily based on standards. There are several standards institutions involved, and therefore it has broad support in the industry. There is an organization called NFC Forum, which kind of holds together on a non-commercial level many companies and organizations working with NFC. And at the moment, I guess there are around 130 or so companies involved in this NFC forum. And NFC technology is compatible to most already deployed RFID infrastructures. So we have a lot of smart cards and readers out there, and they all or most of them work with this NFC technology as well. A bit technical, NFC is working in the high frequency band, 13.56 megahertz. And what makes NFC different to other implementations in this frequency range? This thing here is also a RFID reader and a writer, and it can also emulate tags or smart cards. So in fact it is integrating these three RFID standards into one circuit, and all of this is backed in here. There is one antenna behind the lid, and additional there is a selection algorithm which defines which of the three standards to use in one process of communication. The NFC Forum I've mentioned before is the standards organization that tries to keep all of this together. So there are basically three modes of operation for an NFC device. The one I already demonstrated is to read and write such tags. These can be embedded. There are sticky ones you can stick wherever you want. You can put them in toys, on papers, in posters, for example, is very common. You can also print them right into the paper already, and yeah, that's the basic mode of operation, probably the easiest, and also it's easiest to develop applications for this mode of operation, and so it's also the one I've started with and I've had the most experience so far. The much more interesting mode of operation is a smart card emulation. So this thing, also in closed and even without power, can emulate a smart card. You have maybe heard of smart cards based on MyFair or based on the 14443 ISO standard. They are used, for example, MasterCard has PayPass, so they've got this, or the Oyster card in London for public transport. These are smart cards that are working and they are compatible with it, and you can have these smart cards also on your phone. And that's the actual interesting goal of the NFC industry, that they want to pack all of these smart cards into one device and into one very personal device. You always have with you your mobile phone, I suppose. And so this makes this technology really, really interesting from my point of view. And there is also the peer-to-peer mode, where you can interact with another mobile phone and exchange data. But this is not very far at the moment. Okay, read-write mode, NFC tags. I've got some here. The NFC forum just recently managed to get 4 tag standards out. So this is the first standard. It's already there for quite some time. This tag holds 96 bytes of data, and I can read and write it with the phone. The main use for these tags is to initiate processes in the telephone. So, for example, data transfer. I already brought the example of the internet connection. That's maybe the easiest. I can also have short messages, text messages stored on these tags. There are also tags with more capacity. And I can have, for example, my business card here on this tag. I can have a phone number that is to be called when the tag is touched. And all of these are defined in so-called record type definitions. These are like any protocol, and you know, so it's heavily standardized, it's quite open, and it's quite easy to implement, and they give you a lot of support and tools at hand. So you can also come up with your own record type definitions and introduce them in the standards process. And all of this comes together in one format, in one message format. It's called NFC Data Exchange Format, short NDEF. And this is very common in all NFC applications out there. And one of the most uses for this read-write mode of operation are smart posters. That means posters you can have on the wall, and they are enabled, or some of these NFC tags stick in these posters or inside the poster. And you have clearly marked areas where you can touch with your mobile phone, and then certain actions happen. And you can have a variety of information service over this. We recently did some NFC map, so a city map like you have hanging around in Berlin. And if you enable them with NFC, you can have interesting services. The second mode of operation, the card emulation. Smart cards. There are certain different standards out there. The MIFARE standard, ISO 14443A, I guess, is more common in Europe and the Western world. And Felica is a standard very common in Asia and Japan. And NFC brings both of them together to one circuit. And this is very interesting for payment. So if I have a smart card in this mobile phone, I can use it for everything the smart cards are used today. And that is, for example, payment and ticketing. So you have, especially in Asia and in Japan, you have many public transport systems that already work with smart cards. So you don't have to pay any paper tickets anymore, but you do everything contactless and when entering the bus. I will show some examples later. And what makes this mode of operation very interesting for this audience here is that if you deal with processes like payment and ticketing, then you need to have some kind of security, and this is done via a secure element. That's the name for it. and it's more or less a black box inside this device. The discussion goes on how and where to implement it exactly. There are different interests, so mobile network operators want to have the secure element in the SIM cards or in the UICC cards. The phone manufacturers want to have the secure element right in the phone, and this discussion is very interesting to follow because actually it's very commercial interests. Because the one who controls the secure element is also the one who controls what smart cards and other forms of payment and applications can go inside the telephone. And of course, this organization can also get paid for this. So how is the speed and so? Is this easy to follow for you? Cool. Okay, so here is another overview over these three modes of operation. Yeah. This whole touching thing makes the technology very interesting for people who deal with the design of interaction. And I've met one of them, Timo Arnal. He's working in Oslo at the university, and he's doing really interesting projects. He's trying to find ways of how people interact with computers, and he began working with NFC very early, and he also developed a kind of graphical language for touch. And he and his students are doing interesting projects. I tried, maybe we find time so I can show you some of them later. This whole touching thing makes this technology extremely easy to use. There are certain forms of application one might not think in the first moment of, but for example, this is very interesting for people working with elderly persons or in healthcare. So actually the biggest NFC project out there is at the moment taking place in the healthcare industry. And this usability is a very important factor in developing NFC applications and makes it kind of interesting for designers as well. So what devices are there at the moment? We can count them on one hand at the moment, I guess, that are available for sale. Most of them come from Nokia. There is one Motorola device, but I have not succeeded in buying one yet. There is a Sagem device, and I guess there is one Samsung as well. And there are already secure digital cards that have NFC inside, but I did not have one of them. The phones I'm working here with are all from Nokia. Okay, on to some projects that work with NFC, so you can get an idea of what is already out there and what is working. One of the first trials in NFC, public trials, NFC technology, was the Rhein-Main-Verkehrsverbund. Some of you might be from somewhere down there, Frankfurt am Main. And is there someone from Frankfurt in here? Okay. Have you gone by bus recently? Have you seen these tags on the buses? Okay, so I've not been there myself, but there was a trial, a public trial taking place with 160 participants in Hanau. This took place in 2005, and now, I guess, starting with July 2007, they have the system productive there. So you can buy an NFC mobile phone, and you can download a ticket application on the phone, and there you register with your mobile phone number and your kind of payment, like a bank account or something, and then you can easily buy tickets for the bus and for public transport just by touching these tags that are on the ticket vendor machines. And they are also on the bus stations. And yeah, it's a wild success. So this public trial, the participants were extremely satisfied. Also, the devices at that time were really, really bad. It was like this. It looks more like a children's telephone. Yes, please. For this ticketing application, I suppose. I've not tried it yet, but maybe our friends here from Frankfurt are going to try it. But I come to the security point later. Okay, so this is one of the main and most well-known projects out there, public transport, and one for guys coming from Berlin or Hanover. The Deutsche Bahn is starting a project here in Berlin, and on the route from Berlin to Hanover. It's going to start in mid or end of September 2007, so they say. And until the 30th of August, so I guess another 19 days, you can still apply for becoming a test person. And they will have Motorola mobile phones, so I suppose they will give me, as I applied for being a test person, they will give me one of these Motorola phones and then try to get me riding the S-Bahn in Berlin. And I told them that I want to go to Hanover at least once a month. I've never been to Hanover, but maybe, oh yes, Cebit was at Hanover, sorry. So if you're interested in trying this out without paying too much money, you might go to the website touchandtravel.de and apply to become a test person. I guess it's an easy way to get into this technology and these Motorola devices. I've not seen them yet, but I would like to have one. So yeah, these two projects, both taking place in public transport. The mode of operation that's in use there is this smart card emulation. The read and write mode of operation is, for example, in this project, that's kind of easy to build by your own. I have now here the example from Timo in Oslo. He just used these stick-it notes, post-it notes, and put some NFC tags under it, and so he has something like an address book desk. By just putting the telephone on the according note, he can call or send SMSs to these persons. This makes it kind of interesting if you think of services like tickets over SMS. I don't know, in Vienna we had these SMS tickets. I guess there are some in Helsinki as well. I'm not sure about Berlin. I've not found it so far. But if you can actually order tickets via SMS, then it's really easy to store the according number on one of these tags, and like you have one of the tags in your wallet and the phone next to it, and you order the SMS just by bringing both of them close together. That's kind of the easiest way to buy tickets, not only at the moment of entering the underground, but also maybe just at the moment of control. Another project, Smart Posters, in Munich at the Ludwig Maximilians University. There is also a human-computer interaction lab, HCI lab, sponsored by NTT Docomo, and they developed smart posters for cinema tickets and public transport tickets. And they also introduced some kind of syntax, so you can, by moving your phone from one tag to the other, you kind of select, I want 3 tickets for that movie at that time. And they did some experiments with this, and kind of interesting. Usability we can discuss of these posters, but it's a good start. And there was one quite funny project in Sylt, that's an island, I guess north of Germany, and they had a project going on with tourist information. So tourists coming to the island of Sylt were given, if they wanted, such a phone, and they were told that on bus stations and sites on the island they will find NFC tags, and they can touch them and get more information about this place or get the actual bus plan and something like this. And the interesting things that happened, not too surprising actually, but well, we learned a lot out of this project, was that the acceptance was extremely low. So people just did not understand it, or did not use it, or forgot to use it, and or were not satisfied. Most of them could not read the font on the display. And yeah, and if you think about the typical tourist in Sylt and the use of modern technology, well, this project was funded by the EU, and yeah, the interesting aspect as well, most of the tags got lost. They just stick them to the bus stations, and after a while the tags went away, so people did not use the system, but they took the tags as a kind of, I don't know. So as I said, we learned a lot out of this project. We tried to do it different. Yes, this is already one of the projects I was involved in, the mobile prosumer. It's well, I spent quite a time developing this project, so it's over now. So it's I don't follow this project anymore. The idea was to have something like total information awareness for consumers. So you could go into a market or some store and have all the advantages of the internet, like price comparison and user tests and quality tests and stuff like this, when at the point of sale. So that people could, for example, scan a TV screen like in this picture, and get information about this TV screen and what does it cost somewhere else, and stuff like this. We tried to get this up and running and try to get some tests in stores in Berlin, but quite surprising, the people were not really interested in having price comparison at their point of sale. So we kind of changed the project to be helpful more for the sales assistants than for the consumers. Then they began to like it, and at the moment colleagues of mine are trying to get an kind of acceptance test together. So we want to test this in the field, but yeah. As I said, I hope this is going on, and we will see. So for development purposes, Nokia offers quite some good support for developers of mobile phone software, and especially they want to bring along this NFC technology. So there is a software development kit as plug-in for Eclipse, and it's working with Java J2ME, and I had to get myself into Java just for this purpose, and I would really like to see some Python libraries around, but there are none at the moment. And there is a Java library for NFC, JSAR 257. And I have one of these development kits with me. So if it's on the machine down there. At the moment only available for a non-free operating system. And so if you are interested in getting your hands on mobile phone software development and NFC in particular, then you are invited to stay around, and we boot the other operating system and we can have a look at this. So actually the title of the lecture was Fun with NFC Mobile Phones. So where is all this fun? I tried to find the fun in several aspects of NFC. One is the usability. This technology is extremely easy to use, so it's actually fun to play with it. You can put these tags anywhere, and there are experiments around with children's toys, and so children can use it, for example, and old people can use it when they can't read any keys or displays anymore. They can still phone their people because like they have a picture of their family members, and they can just touch the family member's picture and call them. I guess that's a good reason. I already brought the example of the SMS tickets. That's quite near, so you can easily get into it. And what makes dealing with this technology really, really funny is, in my opinion, the usage. So if you consider that this technology, which is not very far developed at the moment, and not many people have tried it so far, and there is the plan of organizations, credit card companies, to get credit cards or credit card functionality on your mobile phone. Now consider, your mobile phone is a complete programmable device, and if we have payment on these phones, then I guess it's extremely interesting to get a very close look at this technology, especially at these secure elements that are used to store the keys. And this is also the planned next step for me, to take a much closer look at secure elements, and maybe to get some better programming environment than having to deal with J2ME. So that's it from my point of view, and I would love to see if there are any more questions. The one about security, I can't tell you at the moment if it's possible to hack the secure elements. I've heard from people who have at least, well, they think it's possible. We will see some publications out there. I hope in the near future, and there are people dealing with it.
Okay,
Yep.
The communication between the tag and the phone, is it always scrambled?
Sorry, between the tag and?
And what kind of scrambling do they use?
It's not scrambled. If you can get in between this, you can sniff it.
Yeah, that's
easy.
it sounds very good and very secure.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to get in between.
Pardon?
I guess you have to get in between. So that's one of the design goals of NFC, that you make the distance that short, that the trust in the system comes from the short distance.
Hopefully.
Yes. Another question, please?
Do the designers of NFC really believe then that you couldn't eavesdrop on a communication from a further distance than would be needed to power the tag, which usually is the limiting factor?
I'm not the right person to ask this, but I guess that was one of the design goals. Yes.
Okay. Well, let's build some big antennas then.
Yes. I've seen some around out there, big antennas. So maybe. Yes.
NFC is based on RFID, and on RFID there have been attacks extending the range. And with NFC, especially with the active communication, there might be some problems because the active communication can be easier eavesdrop than the passive communication, and therefore active communication might be more insecure.
Yes.
Whatever. But another question, the Nokia phone, does it already support the 5693 standard?
What's 5693?
The other RFID standard.
You mean the peer-to-peer?
No,
stuff?
I mean the RFID standard.
I know what.
The ISO standard.
Yes, I guess so. Just let me have a quick look. Was it on this list of standards I gave you?
Yeah, actually it was, but
the first two are supported. Yes, I guess so.
Okay, thank you.
But thanks for pointing this out. I agree very much with the active part. Yeah.
I have a question regarding the two posters, or the posters, when you tag a poster and the mobile phone starts starting the number. And let's assume you have one poster from Citibank and another poster from Aldi or something. Can you actually cut out the RFID from both posters and swap them? So people who want to call Citibank end up at Aldi, and Aldi who want to call Aldi end up at Citibank?
Of course.
And okay, that's great already, but how is this RFID tag authenticated? For example, can I replace the Citibank RFID with my RFID, so actually my number is called?
There have to be some mechanical means. So it's
What you mean, like
it's a matter of physical security. If you have seen this tags in Hanau here. They experimented quite some time until they got these contacts, and that are extremely stable plastic housings for tags.
Okay, but let's assume I put a tinfoil on top and then my RFID on top. I mean, my RFID is closer to it, and you say it's near field communication, so my RFID tag is red.
Yes.
So in theory, if someone wants to call Citibank, he answers with my phone number, and I redirect him to Citibank. It's a nice man-in-the-middle attack.
I understand what you mean, and I say good idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You have to have some isolating material in between the tin foil and your tag.
Yeah, okay. So because it would be very hard to distinguish. And I have the last question. You say it's near field communication, but is there actually a handshake going on? Or if I have a very strong transmitter, could I actually tell everyone in this room, all mobile phones, please call this number now because you just touched an RFID tag? If I have a very strong transmitter.
I've not thought about this one yet. The communication, it depends on which mode of operation. There is a kind of negotiation process going on. So where there is defined which device starts to send, for example. So it's half duplex. Only one device. If you have two active devices, only one device can send at a time. So there is some kind of negotiation process going on. I'm not sure if you can really compare it to something like a TCP handshake.
Yes, there might be a random number that I have to guess. That is probably 16-bit.
I did not dive in that deep into technology, but if you're interested, we can have a look at the specs afterwards.
Cool.
I would like your opinion on this.
Great, thanks.
I got a question about the device you used to get the signal into your computer. And another question, I mean, it's also very dangerous having, most people used to carry their mobiles on a belt. So if you're in a traffic jam or you stand in a train, so it's quite easy to pick it up, the signal, if you build your device. So that would be another issue. And a third thing I wanted to add, I'm sure you can get your commercial software running under Wine after installing the EA for Linux, the Internet Explorer for Linux. After that, you should be able to install it under Linux, your special program. Maybe you can get it away, maybe you can give it away. I don't know.
Thanks for that offer. To this belt thingy, yeah, you are very right. I found somewhere in the NFC papers the nice sentence that you have to care how near you get to untrusted devices. So the recommendation is not to get yourself and especially your NFC device nearer than 10 centimeters to an untrusted device. Yes. So it's more kind of yeah. Actually, it's for public transport. So if there is a jam in the public transport, you might experience shorter distances. That's very true. Yeah. But were all of your questions answered, or did I forget one?
The device you used to get the signal onto your PC?
What PC?
The device you used to get the signal onto your PC. You were communicating between the mobile and your PC.
Yes, yes.
So
you can use RFID readers, like smart card readers, for example. They are already out there. Or the project from Milos, I guess. The open PIC or open PCD. I guess we should try this out if this works. I guess so, as the standards should be compatible. So,
an additional question to this: if you are in traffic jam or unintentionally come close to one of these readers or tags, that means the phone or whatever device you use is constantly in active in receiving mode.
Very good question. Thank you for this. This one, yes. This one, no, because it has a lid. And actually, clever phone designers, they activate the reader only when the lid is open. The smart card mode of operation also works when the phone is switched off. So, for example, in the case your power fails, yeah, the battery goes low, and you still want to pay your ticket, you can.
So with this, in this mode, it acts like a passive,
yes. Like a smart card.
RF device, and the ticketing system, does it work that way that where you have to touch this machine, that you are the passive one and the machine is reading your ID?
Right.
It's not the other way around.
No. Okay. It's kind of, for example, Sony Felica. It's a similar system deployed in Asia and Japan, and it's also that way around. So they deploy the readers, and in your mobile phone is the tag. So and this one has both directions, so to say. But these payment applications, there it's the tag emulation, that's the interesting one.
And the second question, sorry, the secure device, is this detail specified in the specs, or is this like a black box and not disclosed to the public?
It depends on who you ask. There is, so I found several papers on how to implement a secure element. And as I said, the discussion is still going on where to put it. So, for example, these devices, they have a secure element built in. It's a 4K MyFair tag that's emulated by the phone, and you can store keys into this secure element. And you can develop applications that make use of this secure element. And the developer version of these phones, so if any of you is thinking about getting such a phone and experimenting with it, be sure to get the development version, because there you can lock and unlock this secure element. and there is a certain, the discussion where to put this secure element is, as I said, extremely interesting because it's commercial interest. The one who controls the secure element also controls how keys and secure applications can get on this device.
But well, the location of the secure device does not actually make a difference in how it works, does it?
Really, yeah, that's true. But there is no standardized way to handle this at the moment. There are certain ideas around. One of them is to put it right in the phone. That's what happened today. The other one is to put it on the SIM card. Then the mobile network operator would be in charge of the secure element or in control of the secure element, which makes it very interesting for certain types of application because you can control it over the air. Which means basically that you can kind of download a new smart card like a credit card to your phone, or your mobile network operator can download a new smart card functionality on your mobile phone. And there is also the possibility to have the secure element in something like a secure digital card or a compact flash card or whatever a flash memory device you can put in these phones. And it does not make a difference where you put it, and how to implement it is up to you or up to the manufacturer of the device. So, any more questions? Yeah, then I would thank you very much for your attention at that early time, shortly after midnight. If you are interested in getting a look at the software development kit or in helping me getting it to run under Linux, I would appreciate this. You are invited to stay around. I guess we meet at the entrance and find a place or define some space and time when we meet for this. Thank you very much.